Hello everybody, today is 5th of January. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Friends, first of all, let's take the quote for the today's GS Podder. So today we will be taking a quote from the Thomas Paine, the revolutionary enlightenment thinker and one of the founding father of the United States of America. He says, "Whatever is the right as a man is also the right of another, and it becomes my duty to guarantee as well as to possess." Guys, into this particular quote, we can see a realization has been made with respect to the exercising the own right as well as also to keep in mind the right of the other people, and when the need arises the initiative also is needed to be taken to uphold the other people's right. Now guys, we can utilize this particular quote into the GS paper number 2 as well as into the topics of the essay. So guys, that's it, and now let's take the newspaper analysis. Now, guys, first of all, as we have seen into the yesterday's newspaper discussion that the two new vaccines have been approved, that is the Covishield and the Covaxin. Now, guys, the all the papers they are filled today with the views that why the India had approved the vaccine when the entire data has not been made public with respect to the Bharat Biotech. Such kind of viewpoints are coming. Guys, this particular matter is very much volatile. All the information already we have seen. You don't need to go in any of this particular article because within 2 3 months this entire thing will be settling down and huge new twist and changes will be coming. However, if anything substantial will come here, we will see it into our newspaper discussion, but for the time being please avoid such kind of things. Guys, taking up the first article, this article has been taken from the Business Standard newspaper and it is talking about the issue of techno nationalism versus the techno globalization. Guys, very important idea and we can utilize it into the GS paper number 3. Now, the techno nationalism as well as the techno globalization, it means the attitude that a country holds with respect to the embracing technologies. Number one, the techno globalization means that there should be the free flow of technology, there should be free flow of the disruptive innovation so that the humanity as a whole can take its advantage. However, the techno nationalism focuses more on developing the own capabilities and using their own capabilities for their own welfare, and they basically focus on making an exclusivist kind of zone. Now guys, if we see today the landscape, technology landscape particularly, is changing very much rapidly. Just a couple of decades back the western dominance into the technology sector was very much clear and everybody was just following the western's footstep, and here the USA played an important role, and there were some isolated tech giants also such as the European countries as well as the South Korea. But today, the tech landscape has changed and China is emerging. And as the China is very rapidly closing the gap between the West and the China, there is a kind of a tech war which has emerged, particularly between the USA and the China, because USA doesn't want that the China breaks the status quo. However, China is very much rapidly closing all the gaps, and this thing can be particularly be seen by the tech giants such as the Huawei, the Hikvision, the social media Byte player, etc., who had captured a huge landscape. Moreover, guys, into the 5G war, clearly the China is seeming to be the winner. So what has been the approach? The West has deprived the China out of very critical component. For example, the US companies have denied the China the share into the chip development, and now the China even is developing the expertise into such sphere where the China was earlier reliant onto the West, and it has further increased the restlessness into the West, particularly the USA. Now guys, when we talk about the developing countries or the underdeveloped countries, they are choosing the either or both approach. Now either they depend on to the USA, or they depend on to the China, or they depend on to the both. And therefore these countries which were providing the technology, they became the tech colonist, and the countries which were using these technologies, they were called as the techno colonies. So this was a new kind of imperialism which was coming. The countries were making the smaller countries dependent onto them in terms of their tech consumption. Now guys, the India was also one of the major tech colony today also, but India had realized this particular thing, that such a reliance onto the foreign countries will not be good. And into this particular direction, recently the Atmanirbhar Abhiyan has been started, and it is more of a kind of a techno nationalism kind of approach, where the government is focusing that we will be developing our own indigenous capabilities into the tech sphere, so that the reliance onto the China particularly can be reduced. And even the India had banned many of the Chinese apps in order to indicate the techno nationalism of India. Moreover guys, along with the Atmanirbharta, in government had also started up with the artificial intelligence vision plan, and even as well as recently a vision plan onto the quantum computing was also revealed. But the problem comes that even after giving up so ambitious targets, whether India will be able to achieve something considerable or not. Guys, the problem that comes here is that number one, India doesn't have any preceding capability into the tech sector. For example, we don't have any comparable Indian firm onto the lines of the Huawei or onto the lines of the Hikvision of China, or simply like the Foxconn like manufacturers. We are very much way behind. So therefore the policy is good, but often it has been seen that the coherence is not there into the Indian policies. Guys, the private sector, public sector, research sector, they are not treated as a single arm. And right now, when we need to develop the tech dominance, it is high time that all of them needs to be treated as a single arm, and the focus is needed to be made on both. And the policies should not change with the change of government which has happened into India, because the coherence was the only thing which made the West outshine onto the technology. Now guys, if we see the China's model on developing the technological hegemony, they have completely followed a different kind of model, where rather than finding the coherence, the state became the primary dictator to the private institutions, to the public institution, that in what direction the technology is to be developed. The state became so intimidating in China that even today the private companies such as the Huawei etc., they have also to submit the crucial data to the Chinese government. Now guys, if we talk about the India after the 1947, India followed the footsteps of the USSR, and here the state became itself the dominant player in all the different sectors. Guys, to considerable extent the changes also came, but after the 1991 LPG reforms, government entirely withdrew, and a kind of a new model came, where the most important concern were the economic concerns. Nobody paid attention onto the development of the indigenous technological capabilities. Directly the technology was imported from the shelves of the Western countries or the China. But now this thing has to change, and we need to now focus onto the technology, because we have to realize that the fourth industrial revolution had come. Now guys, when earlier the industrial revolution came, we were dependent onto the England. Today the fourth industrial revolution had came. This revolution is driven by the technology. Today we are dependent onto the China as well as onto the America. Now the time has come that the self reliance is to be achieved, and into this particular direction, rather than directly importing the technology, we needed to develop our own indigenous capabilities. And this particular thing is not very much difficult, as India had shown into the past. When the cryogenic engines were refused to India, India developed the own indigenous cryogenic engines. The same thing was done in development of the supercomputer. We developed our own nuclear reactors. We developed our own indigenous space mission via the help of the ISRO. So if earlier it has been done, today also it can be done, and government needs to take the tech development onto a serious scale. So guys, this is the key idea that has been given into this particular article, along with some of the attachments from my side. I hope that you have understood it, and now we will be moving to the next article. Now guys, here we can see a very brief update with respect to the school bag policy 2020. The Directorate of Education had given a circular into which the schools have been particularly asked to check the weight of the school bags of the children. Now, guys, over a period of time, the concerns have repeatedly raised with respect to the heavy baggage that the children had to carry, as it takes a heavy toll onto the physical well-being of the children. Often it has been seen that these heavy bags, they put immense pressure onto the spine, and it leads to the bad body posture, or it leads to the deformity into the curve of a spine and leads to the lifelong problems. Guys, this is a kind of a thing which can easily be rectified, but for so many of the years it has been ignored. And when we are talking about the children, guys, they are the demographic dividend of the India, and the demographic dividend, in order to be relevant, needs to be healthy, needs to be skilled, as well as needs to be physically fit. But such kind of problems into the childhood might lead to some kind of impairments into the body posture, and might make them unfit for some specific kind of works. And into this particular direction, earlier the policies have been dictated with respect to the maximum baggage that the children had to carry, but the implementation of such thing has not been there. So now the Directorate of Education has specifically put the responsibility onto the children's under their school bag policy 2020, that the strict baggage norms have to be followed, and the teachers need to make sure that the extra baggage is not being carried by the children. Moreover, it has also been said that many a times the children, they need to carry their water along with them into the water bottle, and it further increases the weight. So it is the responsibility of the school that the potable good drinking water needs to be provided to the children into the sufficient quantity, so that the separate water bottles are not needed to be carried. So guys, this is all about this particular issue, and now we will be moving into the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is a very good article with respect to the women's unpaid labor work into the course of their domestic activities, and highly important for our GS paper number 1 under the topic of society, as well as in GS paper number 2 under the topic of the vulnerable sections of society into the heading of the women related issues. Now, what has happened? First of all, guys, recently into the Tamil Nadu forthcoming state assembly elections that are about to held, the political party led by the veteran actor Kamal Hassan, he had made a promise that the monetization of the domestic work will be made. It means that he had said that the work that the women are doing into their household, for that particular thing, women will directly be paid a kind of a salary. Now, this particular suggestion has been very much revolutionary into the context of India, as well as in order to recognize the women's unpaid labor work. Guys, you might be knowing that a very important criticism even of the GDP is this, that it doesn't account the unpaid labor work of the women. Now, when we talk about the monetization of domestic work, such a kind of demand for the first time arose into the second wave of women movement, which started into the North America as well as into the cities of Europe. At that point of time, the activists, they challenged the notion of labor of love. Now, the notion of labor of love, it means that the woman is simply doing the household work because she loves the household, she loves the children, she loves the husband, and an ideal woman is meant to do such kind of work. So such stereotypes were challenged here into the second wave of women movement. It was said that women can be equally equated with a labor who is working into a factory, and though even the labor is paying some wages into the factory, but the women is not even being paid that particular wage. It was said that the women are simply the labor that has been created by the capitalist world. The women are simply supporting the parallel economy that is going on. They reproduce the labor every day, they reproduce the children, and even without any consideration, continuously the work is going on, and because of them only the formal economy has been sustained. And guys, therefore a movement started in 1970s, after the Sylvia Federici wrote Wages Against Housework. Here it was asked that the wages are needed to be provided to the women, and women needs to be provided a kind of a negotiating power on terms with the workers into the factories. And it was said that the women who are negotiating the housework with their partners, they need not to be seen as something undeserving. Now, guys, after discussing all these issues, the question boils down that whether the women needs to be provided the monetary wages for the work that they are doing, or there needs to be something else the solution. Now, the feminist movements are divided onto this particular aspect, and some of the leaders, they believe that their need is not to give the wages, because after that particular thing, women will further be tied down to their work, and further this particular thing will become entrenched that actually they are the one who have been given the responsibility to do the domestic chores, and it will further redefine the gender roles. But these gender roles are strictly the problem. Guys, if we can see here, according to the International Labour Organization's report in 2018, it has been seen that globally women perform 76.2% of the total hours of the unpaid care work, which is more than 3 times as the men. And in Asia Pacific particularly, 80% of the work is being done by the women. So basically the need is to break the stereotype that only the women have the responsibility. And guys, here a kind of a realization is needed to be made to the other counterparts that they also need to perform their part. And guys, after this, coming back onto the political promise that has been made into the Tamil Nadu, that is giving the women the salary for the work that they are doing. Now, several questions emerges into this particular light. Number one, what will be the principle of giving the wages to the women? Secondly, what about the women who are also working outside as well as they are also partly doing the work into the home? How they will be paid the money? Thirdly, there are also the women who are using their household to do some kind of commercial activity also. For example, they are stitching the clothes, or they are selling the cooked meals, or any such kind of thing. How they will be recognized? Basically, the house women or the housewife is a simply kind of a very generic tag which has been given to all the women who are living into the house. We need to further redefine identity of the women as a housewife, and into this particular direction it has been said that a better solution could be this also, that rather than providing them the wages for the household work, the universal basic income needs to be given to the households, and the UBI needs to become into the name of the women of the household. This could be a strategy here. However, guys, the question which has been raised by the political party of the veteran actor, it has been quite relevant, and such kind of considerations need to be made into the other constituencies, into the other states also. So guys, that is all about this particular article. A very good article, please do utilize it. And now we will be moving to the next article. Guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking about the regularization of the gig platforms, as well as it is providing some of the insights with respect to the changing patterns into the employment in India. Important article for our GS paper number 3. Now, guys, it has been provided here that as the pandemic started, the reverse migration also started. People went back to their villages, and as there was no viable employment opportunity into the villages, people resorted back onto the MG Narega, and they started doing the unskilled work. And it can be seen that so much reliance was onto the MG Narega that 90% of the money devoted to the MG Narega, it was exhausted by the month of the November. However, guys, at the same time, the economic recovery is was also suggested by the economist, and it was said that the V-shaped economic recovery will be there. And now, as the new numbers for the subsequent GDP quarters are coming, it has been said that India is well onto the path to the economic recovery. But nobody is giving the focus onto the unemployment rates. According to the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, it has been said that the unemployment has increased very much rapidly from earlier, in that is in even into the month of November, to the 9.06% into the month of December. Now people are returning back to the cities, and here they are resorting to the gig work. But the question comes that into the gig work or into the platforms such as the Uber, Ola, Zomato, Swiggy, etc., whether the quality of the work is good or not. So guys, into this particular direction, the Fair Work Foundation annual review of the platform labor has been released, which had measures the working conditions into the gig ventures. And guys, here onto the five matrices, the performance of the gig ventures have been noted down, and it has been found that in its founding, only two of the firms, that is the Urban Company and the Flipkart, are scoring the score more than the 5 out of the 10. And there are the companies such as the Uber, Ola, Swiggy and Zomato, whose score is towards the bottom, and they are scoring even less than the 2. So this thing shows that the biggest employer, they are not showing the regard with respect to the quality of employment that they are providing into these gigs. Now, guys, it has been said that as in India, we are not having any urban counterpart onto the lines of the MG Narega, so government had to look forward to the alternative forms of employment. However, there is also a concern that the government needs to regulate the working condition. Government needs to maintain a database, at least a database for the laborers working into the different ventures is needed to be maintained, and here the labor ministry needs to play an important role. And after that, guys, a very good suggestions has been made here. See, it has been said that government, rather than focusing onto the urban MG Narega, which will be costing anywhere around 1 lakh crore, rather can work on some innovative facilities. For example, guys, the government can partner with these gigs into one or the other aspect, and can make the working conditions good, can be helping in making these gigs more inclusive. Here we can take the reference of the Swiggy. So recently, the Swiggy started the Swiggy's street food vendor program under the PM Swanidhi. Guys, you might be knowing the PM Swanidhi. Here it was provided that the street vendors will be provided the loan of 10,000 rupees so that they can start back their business. Now, guys, under the Swiggy street food vendor program, the Swiggy is registering the street food vendors, and it has been said that the 36,000 such street food vendors will be made on board by the Swiggy. And here it is also being made ensured by the Swiggy that every vendor is certified by the FSSAI, and it will be ensuring the quality of the food. Guys, it will be creating more jobs, voluntary adoption of the quality standards, and it will be a mutual partnership which will be created. Now it has been said, into the same line, the government needs to partner with the other agencies also. For example, under the Skill India mission, the Uber can be robbed, where the government might be skilling the driver, and these driver can be utilized by the Uber in providing the taxis in and all such kind of things. So such kind of alternative models are needed to be explored, where the gigs are to be enrobed. And guys, such kind of thing will be saving a huge cost which government early otherwise have to shell if government brings the urban MG Narega. So such kind of suggestion has been made, and really it is a very good suggestion. We can utilize it in our GS paper number 3. So guys, that's all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is actually a very generalistic article. It is talking about the recent controversy that has happened into the state of Kerala, where repeatedly the governor of the Kerala has tried to bypass the authority of the state government. Guys, earlier also we have taken this particular article. Now it has been seen that the governor, he refused to convene the assembly even after the state government had repeatedly asked this thing. Guys, earlier such an incident also happened into the Rajasthan. Now, guys, it has been provided that such kind of behavior onto the part of governor doesn't sounds good, because into the constitution directly it has been provided that the governor has to abide by the request made by the state legislature. However, guys, nothing important suggestion or such kind of thing has been provided here, a very generalistic article. So that's it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and here it has been said that as India is going to start the 2-year term at the United Nations Security Council as a non permanent member, and the ceremony has been held to install the national flag of the countries who will be holding the UNSC membership position from 2021 to 2022. Guys, not that much important you need to go. However, here some very good expressions have been utilized, that how or by what philosophy the India will be taking the lead into the United Nations Security Council. Here it has been said that India comes into the Security Council as the largest democracy representing one-sixth of the humanity, and with a strong commitment to reformed multilateralism, rule of law, a fair and equitable international system, and the peace and to peace, security, and development. So, such an is an idea, guys. Always India had talked about reforming the multilateral institutions, reforming the global order, the rule of law, peace, democracy. They have been the hallmarks of the Indian democracy, guys. Moreover, here it some we can also see that it has been said that we will not shy away from raising our voice against the common enemies of humanity like terrorism. So, the kind of an affirmation has also been made by the India that India will not be a silent partner. Further, guys, it has been said that the peacekeeping, peace building, maritime security, women and youth, especially in conflict situations, and technology with a human face will receive our attention. So, such kind of expressions we can give into our answers. Moreover, guys, the Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the idea has also been given. Moreover, it has been said that the India looks forward to being a kind of a universal family. So, this is a kind of a cosmopolitanistic kind of approach that India is going to adopt into the United Nations Security Council. So, guys, that is all just about here. And one more thing, that apart from the India, the other members who are will be coming, they are the Ireland, Mexico, Kenya, and Norway. So, guys, that is all about the today's newspaper discussion. I hope that you have understood the article. Thank you so much.